I'm here with my friend Lori Spagna, and we're gonna just have an open conversation because that's how we roll.
That's what's fun for us, and we get to be of service too.
Exactly. And so today's a beautiful day. It's a gateway day of a sort. It's the Day of the Dead. The veils are thin. And so Lori and I, we were looking at several topics we wanted to cover with you. We had a couple of good questions come in. So we do want to talk about animals and what's going on with the animals. How can we assist the animals? How can they, of course, help us too? We want to talk about core wounds. People really noticing our core wounds come up. Last night I had like a big opening for my own wounding. And here's the funny thing, you know, Lori, you never stop. You don't stop healing. You don't stop moving through those layers of density and ego and wounding. And that's a good thing, because at the end of each discovery of density, we unwrap it and we find light. And that's the beautiful.
Yeah, I want to say something about that "we don't stop" thing, though, because the idea that we don't stop sort of implies like we're always forever going on with this healing process. And there's truth to that. But at the same time, every time we somehow resolve some kind of wounding, we also come more fully into our heart center, into more love, into more happiness, into more joy, into more health, into more well-being. So, because some people, I know there's even like some spiritual teachers out there that will say, like, you know, it'll never stop, so why bother? Just start living your best life. And that's true. But the thing is we're going to talk about spiritual bypassing today. The thing is, there's a really big, through the process of that evolution and that growth, you're becoming more whole, full, complete, embodied. And your love, your compassion, your virtues, the virtues that you develop are so valuable and so much better than like anything you could ever buy. And you can't bypass anything to get to those virtues, to unlock them in you.
Yeah.
That's really ultimately why, in a way, why we're doing it. Is, yes, it's to alleviate suffering and pain, to clear, heal, resolve those traumas and wounds, but it's really to uncover these incredible virtues that are within us, that the third dimensional humanity, and even people who are awakening, and especially people who are bypassing, they don't have them. So this is all rich stuff to cover too.
Yeah, no kidding. I'll use myself as an example. Last night I was talking to somebody and someone said the word starving artist. And I got seriously triggered. Like, I was shocked at how triggered I got. And it took the whole day for that trigger to open up. And suddenly I was like, oh, I see what's going on. I've had times in my life, this lifetime, where I was hungry, where I was starving. Either I was starving myself because I had bad anorexia as a teenager, or I was starving because I was poor. And I had to cry it out. And my husband's like, can you be with me now? Can you be here now? And I said, I am, but I'm allowing my emotions to be. I have to merge with them. And so then on the other side of it, I found this sense of being held by the universe, the light, the virtue, the surrender. And I looked at my husband and I said, I'm so glad that we're together, because we'll never go hungry. We'll never go hungry when we're together. And that really touched me, just to be able to be in it and not run away from it, not deny it. You know, and we have these core wounds that will show up on occasion and they'll take you by surprise. I was not expecting that yesterday, and it took me a long time, most of the day, to get through it. So, but we got to be so patient with ourselves. I like to call it radical kindness and supreme gentleness. That we can be radically kind to ourselves and supremely gentle to ourselves, to be able to navigate those difficult triggers and wounds. What are some of the things that you do, Lori, to navigate those?
Well, I have to say, Yeah, core wounds are tough, right? Like I know this month of October, the whole month, I was really addressing core wounds of, when I say core wounds, I mean, I'm referring to like the deepest stuff in you that is just, you likely thought you may have been addressing it your whole life, or you might have thought you were over it because you addressed it so much and you thought it was resolved, and then it comes up again and you're like, wow, why is this coming up again? To me, when we're talking a core wound, that's how I define that. But this month of October, I was really going deeper into the abusive patterns, and really uncovering and a deeper layer. So, and this has been a process. It's really fascinating to, when you chart your own healing journey on any particular topic. So for me, the abuse that I grew up with was verbal and emotional and mental abuse. And a huge amount of it was passive aggressive and sort of secret, covert kind of manipulation entangled with what we call passive aggressive, like gaslighting, which is a form of like denying someone's truth. So if I were to say, hey, when you did that, that hurt me, the other person in their gaslighting would basically deny it in some way. That would be like, well, I don't know why that couldn't possibly hurt you because we did that for you, or you did that, or it would be constantly, and part of gaslighting is sort of this defend and attack energy to put a person on constant defense. So they're defending and attacking. So you're on this alert and defense. Your brain goes into kind of like fight flight mode, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So you're not safe. Your energy field's not safe. You immediately start tightening up. You're no longer flowing blood in your brain. And so you can't even be rational. Your heart closes because now this is all physiological stuff that happens in the body, which if we're not conscious of, we don't even see it happening. We're just, what's going on, right? So I had like 3 experiences over the month of October where I literally was in situations with people who I was trusting, perceived to be trustworthy, and realized I was being triggered, but it was definitely because I went in there open-hearted, thinking that these were safe relationships, and realizing these are not safe people because of their behavior. Is their defend. So I get to witness it, and it was still very jarring to my system. But that's what I was processing since it was intense.
Yeah, exactly.
Really intense. And the thing is what do I do to answer your question? What do I do? Number one, this is why I do this for a living. I go to a healer who's third party neutral. And I cannot tell you, if you're operating on your own without the support of somebody that is neutral and available to you, who you know is on your side, like, so to speak, on your side, there for you, to support you, that is the number one thing. I mean, I called friends. I spoke to Elizabeth about this. And it's always good to have friends too, because friends, especially what happens in the brain, when you talk to a friend, this is studied for women. When women speak with women, the sharing, the bonding creates endorphins in the brain and other dopamine in the brain and other serotonin, the happy hormone. So you're stimulating happiness hormones while you're processing, and even the other person who's listening is getting that too, because they're being of service and enjoying the camaraderie to a certain, if they're really true and faithful friends. So they're getting those same dopamine high, serotonin high, heart centers opening, and this is beneficial for both people as long as you're not using them as a dumpster, right? So, I mean, those are 2 things I do right away when that stuff happens. And of course, I'm with it. I'm like, wow, I'm noticing what's going on in my body. Wow, what's happening? Like, where have I felt this before? I'm processing. These are processing right now. like, how is this feeling? I'm being with it. I'm noticing. I'm like, wow, this is how this feels. This is what's going on for me. I'm not fighting it. I mean, I'm not enjoying it necessarily. I'm like, you know, but and then I'm doing certain things to take care of myself too. I mean, I'm like, I know my go-tos. I call them my go-tos.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh,
I do
go-tos.
my go-tos.
Self-care.
Yeah, I mean, I can't tell you. I went to the beach because I live in Florida, and for the first time in the month of October this week, I was so busy and I just wasn't getting myself to the beach. That's the whole reason I live here, so I could swim every day. And the moment I got in the water, I did a blessing of the water. I did a blessing of myself, and it was like, what just happened? How did just one little hour, less than an hour, in the ocean completely transform me? Right?
It's amazing. That ocean is amazing. The water.
Mother Nature, the ultimate healer.
Yeah.
The science is in on that. Grounding, earthing, indisputable, actual science. Mother Earth is the ultimate healer. And if we are not using Mother Earth as a healer, whether it's walking in nature, hugging trees, sitting on the earth, using the sunshine, swimming in the waters, we're missing out, because I'm barefoot to the best. I know it's
barefoot.
to be winter for a lot of people, but
yeah.
anyway,
I'm so lucky. I'm so lucky, Lori. I get when I'm feeling down, I go out and I pet these beautiful ponies I've got.
Yes, animals, the ultimate healers.
They're so big, and they just unconditionally just love me, and we just be in that love together. There's no words. It's deeply healing. Whenever I'm really disoriented, that's the first thing I go do, and it always grounds me so deep. I'm so lucky. We're so lucky to have the animal kingdom.
Yes.
As part of this journey.
I'll tell you, my dog, Kiko, she actually tends to prefer to sleep on the floor, even though I want her on the bed with me, but she'll come up when I kind of bribe her with treats or whatever. But I mean, she does it, but a lot of times she just prefers to sleep on the floor. And one of those nights, I just really needed the cuddling. So I'm like on the floor, cuddled around her with the blanket on me. Just,
that's so sweet.
They are, you know, they give that love, and it's just the touch of the body also. Because we know that touch, I mean, we learned this with Reese's monkeys in science a long time ago, right? We know that the touch of love is one of the most important things for us when we're healing and in having love and heart-centered opening. These are just basic things, but this is how we love and care for ourselves through these challenging times.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Do you think that some of these gateways that come up can open us more to some of those core wounds so we can really dig deep in them? How does that work?
Yeah. Oh my God, that is so huge. So at first I kind of knew what was going on in October, because I'll just say I'm trying to unaddict myself from astrology. But I'm going to say, I mean, I could see it in my charts, because what you call my north node was going over my moon.
Yeah.
And the north node is a directional of what it wants you to, the direction it wants you to go in, whether it's resolving something or becoming something. And the moon is your deepest maternal emotions. And my abuse is stemmed from my maternal line, my lineage. Yeah. And it was in the 8th house, by the way, which is the shared family resources, family. So 8th house is like your ancestors a lot of times refers to that. So this is what I was healing, and I knew it was going on. But the portals, which we always can know a portal very easy in numerology when you've got a double or a triple date. So 1111 is our next key portal. Today is a little bit of a portal because you got 111, but it's not a clear pure portal because it's not an equal match. Right. But it just does mean new energies are coming in and amplifying. And you can see it in astrology too, but it's more complicated. But just the easiest way to know, 1111 is the next big portal. And we got 12, 12, 12, the biggest portal of the year. Why? Because 2019 adds up to 12. You add that up, so you got a triple portal. Then you're going to have another triple portal, but not quite as intense and pure, 1221, 12, which is 2019, still a triple portal. And then when you have two lined up like that in the same month, you got that whole window.
Yeah.
And then, of course, we have the solstice coming in, right? Now, and the solstice is always a rebalancing, an integration, and also at the same time, a new opening. That's why solstice is the most powerful, in a sense, the most powerful day of the year from a consciousness perspective, right? Because it's an integration, it's an opening, it's a clearing, it's a balancing, it's all of it. But that said, to answer your question, yes. I mean, I know you know this, but of course, these why are these portals so important? These dates, they're literally windows to the higher realms, gateways, openings, that where the higher realms are pouring in new frequencies of energy. Now, if you're already aligned with those new frequencies of energy, and there's something in you that's still out of alignment, it's going to get brought up to the surface. And core wounding is a perfect example of that. But any kind of wounding that's been a pattern, if you don't notice it, it's likely it's come up and sort of got cleansed out. Either A, you're not as conscious, which is rare for this group, but it's 3D people are being affected this way. Or B, it's come up, you noticed it's cleared, it wasn't that necessary, but it's maybe more on the surface and something deeper is under there. So anyway, these days are really important for the ascension journey because they're designed to help us free, clear, liberate, and resolve our issues for ourselves and our ancestors.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I like to akin it to, you know, when you have a big sandbox and if you shake it and you make that frequency higher, all the little rocks and boulders come to the surface. And the same with, say, light. You know, when you shine light on something, what do you notice? You notice all the little flaws that you missed or the stuff, you know, you notice it more. But this is such a great blessing because the beauty of light is that it does want to integrate everything.
Yes.
Brings it all together.
I also love to refer to it as like a glass when you put ice cubes in. If you're putting like ice cubes into a glass, what's been in the glass is going to spill over out of it, right? And it's just what's ever been in the glass is just the old warm, you know, and you're putting something new, refreshing in there.
Yeah.
But I would like to address the spiritual bypassing topic.
Yeah, I think that's really important. It's one of my favorite topics.
I didn't know that, Elizabeth. That's one of your favorite topics.
It is because I see it all the time, and falling into the trap of bypassing is really easy. It's really.
And the other thing that's coupled with spiritual bypassing, which I think is not nearly talked about enough, is arrogance, supremacy.
Yeah.
Because if someone's spiritual bypassing, and we'll get into this, it's very easy to fall back into arrogance, superiority, because they're bypassing some of their stuff, but they're playing the spiritual game, and they're all like, oh, it's all kumbaya, and aren't we all love? And I just play my little crystal bowls and sing my little, my whatever, my music, and do my little hums and my mantras and my affirmations, and now I'm somehow superior because I'm attuned to it. But meanwhile, they have not even begun to get into the depth, spiritually bypassing it. And another really great example of spiritual bypassing, to really talk about what it is, it's literally making an unconscious, typically it's unconscious, they're not conscious of it, although it could be conscious, but usually it's more unconscious, an unconscious attempt to bypass or somehow suppress or repress or deny, essentially not fully process your wounding, your core wounds, and any kind of wounding that really is deep pain or some form of trauma. So a great example of spiritual bypassing is, let's all get in a circle and let's create a vortex of energy. And let's just be uplifted by the energy. Let's just throw all of our wounds in there. We don't have to process them. We don't have to talk about them. Let's just throw them in there because they're in this vortex, and the vortex will take them away.
Yeah.
To me, that's a complete fabrication of truth. That's not processing anything. And what happens is the soul, in my opinion, the soul wants to get in the body. Yeah. So when you set yourself in a vortex, the soul, the divine, wants to get into the body, but it also wants to integrate. The divine wants to reunite. The soul wants to reunite with the divine, and it's meant to do it in the body. So the soul going along lifetime after lifetime after lifetime, journey after journey after journey, picking up all this information and consciousness and holding on to a lot of crap too that's not really, it's not its truth. It knows it's not true, but it also knows that in order to get into the body, you the ego needs to help it to, and it needs to help you work together to let go of what's crap and clear it out, because the soul knows the truth, but the soul also has been through all the experiences. This is how I define it anyhow. And the higher self, which is more aligned guidance leading you all this way, is like, I am the light, I am the light, I am the light. Let me get in there too and help. Right? So you're integrating this, and the human ego is like, I'm just in a body trying to survive here, trying to pay my rent. You know what I mean? Kind of thing. Like, I just want to have some people and be loved in my life, make some money, have a good time, enjoy life. Like, why do I have to do all this crap, right? So soul's like, okay, I want to get in there. Higher self, source self, God self is like, I want to get in there. Let's come together and let's help this ego get out of the way. Okay, so this is all going on. Now, if you set up some kind of like vortex, just throw it all in. So I was like, wait a second, I can get in there a little bit more. But really, if this human is still like holding on to this trauma in here, there's not space for me to fill that cell. Holding on to this pain tight in here, there's not space for me. I can't get in there. So you're just in a big flow of energy. And for the moment, the ego's like, whoa, this feels so good. Mm-hmm. But meanwhile, the soul's like, wait, there's no space. And you haven't cleared that out, really. You think you can just sit in that vortex and not really work with me to integrate these higher lessons that I brought, all these gifts. I got all these gifts from all these lifetimes and all these experiences, and I just want to give them to you. But just the record of it is just let unpack that. You got to open that gift. You can't just sit there in that energy. Not enough. It's just not enough.
It's not.
Bypassing. And the thing is there's a lot of spiritual teachers out there who are really high frequency, but when you get in their space for more than like 5 minutes, or if you trigger them, you'll see it.
Yeah.
That's,
it's just, very amazing.
Bypass.
It's amazing to me that processing for so long was put on the back burner, and emotional, mental, physical processing of our stuff, of our judgments, of our attachments, our expectations, and the resistance to stuff. See, resistance is that tricky one too, because a lot of bypassing, it's all resistance. It's resistance to going deeper, and resistance is more egoic structure.
That's right.
And I always say, hey, if you have to say that you're not resisting something, then you're probably resisting it. Yeah. And the body itself will tell you, it'll be tenser. My body will hurt more when I'm in resistance. So I think that's a blessing because it gives me a clue that I'm resisting something. And it's been probably the hardest thing for me to learn is how to move through resistance, because it's so subtle. And when you're around someone who is trying to be high vibe and maintain this high vibe, and then you point out any kind of shadow, and then they're in resistance to it, that's your clue. That's a clue.
If their first word is nope, that's not me.
Right. Or
I mean, it's not even like, well, okay, I can hear you on that. I hear you on that. Or, well, I can see your point of view. However, then there's not resistance. Or if there's some sort of breath in there, like,
Yeah, or even better when someone says, tell me more.
Right.
Tell me more. And so if someone's got a critique or...
That's really healthy. This is what I love about you, Elizabeth. I think you're so healthy on this stuff.
I'm getting better. I'm getting better.
There, this is your...
Yeah, I'm always working on this, I always tell people, look, I've got loads and loads of ego. I'm very aware of it. I know how to talk soul to soul. And that's one of my ways of bypassing the bypassing is I'll speak to someone's soul. I'll kind of go around that ego, go around the resistance, and I'll attempt to speak soul to soul. And the other thing is never to take anything personally. That's really hard. That's very hard to not take things personally. But when someone,
I want to talk about that, but can I just, so we can move on from the spiritual bypassing topic, I
Yeah.
want to just say one other thing, and then let's get into the not taking things personally, because that's really rich, juicy.
Yeah.
But one of the key places in the spiritual movement where you find a lot of that spiritual bypassing is in the law of attraction movement.
yeah,
Because that movement is designed just positives. Positives a lot of times, it's not really teaching people to process any of their stuff. And it's really, to a large percentage of the population, identifying like some kind of egoic reward. It's
right.
not a bad thing. It's not bad if that's what gets people into their consciousness. It's a good thing, but it's a very early level step. And you need to understand that, because there's nothing wrong with wanting nice things and nice experiences. There's nothing wrong with wanting to be happy, fulfilled, successful, etc. I want all those things.
Yeah.
It's just that the idea that you can just kind of be all positive all the time and not ever have to address your stuff. Your stuff will come up eventually.
Yeah.
It will, or else you'll hit dead ends. So that's the thing. And even if somebody, you know, who looks like a Buddha, is a little round, pudgy, fat, and bald, sits on some kind of podium, makes some really great jokes, and tells you like, just love everybody. That's the answer to everything. It is, but it's not. It's not enough.
It's not enough. Ooh,
not if you're really going for the full ascension experience. Not if you're really, really wanting to resolve your issues, which is why we came here at this time. Not if you're really wanting to make a difference. If you just want to go, you live your ho-hum life and settle for kind of a little bit better than mediocrity, you know, then maybe it's enough. But that's not our audience, I don't think, Elizabeth. I think our group are people who really are doing our best to really embrace the awakening, the ascension, the transformational experience, to work through our issues in a conscious way, to alleviate suffering for ourselves, our animals, our loved ones, and to really elevate ourselves in the sense of really being at one with our own divinity and embodying that. So if that's what you want, spiritual bypassing, even if someone who looks like a Buddha and sits on a couch and cracks a lot of jokes and tells you everything will be fine, just love everyone, that won't be enough.
No, to alleviate suffering, we have to face it. To shift the darkness, we got to go into it. That's where some of those precious, precious levels of light that want to be seen and radiated from us, that's where it is. It's not in the light that we're going to find more light.
Right.
The new kind of light, the fresh light, the light that wants to be free. The new virtues, that's what we're navigating. I like to akin it like, look, we're all here as reconnaissance in consciousness. We're here to go face some of the darkest of the dark stuff and finally resolve it. That's why we're here at this time, another time, now. That's why we're here.
That's why we don't spiritually bypass.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I get it. Not everybody wants that, but I know for me, that's where that's, like I said, that's where all the virtues are hidden. They're hidden behind all
that's where they're hidden.
True virtues. When you understand real virtues, like real, true virtues that are just completely unknown to the bulk of humanity, virtues like, you know, we talked about this on another show, magnanimity, the ability to really, truly love with your whole being, and to, you know, like another real virtue is just the ability to just be in so much. It's not even just acceptance, it's like allowance. So now when somebody gets on the news and does some horrific event, you're not in a state of like trauma from it, judgment of it. Your allowance of that, all that is so full of love that you now become the solution to the world's problems. You're the solution.
Yeah.
when you really know you are and have the solution for humanity. Now, I get it. I'm not being arrogant here. I myself am not the solution, but I have the ability to access that those those frequencies, that consciousness, to provide it. Like, that is gift.
Yeah.
That is virtue.
And every single one of us can do that. You
And
don't have to
live your life that way, and you can't be steered off as much, except during your trauma times when you're processing something. That's when
right.
you're slightly steered off, but only to be more fully realigned.
Right. And that kind of leads us to that, taking it personally.
Yes, let's talk about. I want to hear about you. Tell us about that. I want to hear about that from
Sure,
you.
No problem. Well,
Because I take everything personally. I mean, I'm in my brain here.
I find myself recognizing the soul in other people, and the soul and the consciousness in events, the consciousness in the reality around us. But I'm so lucky, Lori, because I can see it. Being able to see stuff has made a big difference for me. And I think if I want to mention to people, if you want to see more, if you want to be able to feel more and know more, processing makes it clearer. I continue to process, and I see more and more than I ever imagined, and it's never ending, beautiful, wonderful things to see. So what I've realized, though, is in the moment, well, actually, I was 14 years old when I realized this, so I was really lucky because it was early. So I'm sitting there in high school, and I'm sitting at the front of the high school, and all these kids are walking past, and I had really, really bad acne. My face looked like ground hamburger. And so I'd spend hours every morning putting makeup on, right? So I'm sitting there, and I'm like really worried about what people think of me and what I look like. And back when I had no psychic etiquette, I could hear people's thoughts, and I'd kind of eavesdrop a little bit. And so here I'm at the front of the school, and all these people are walking past, and sure, they glance at me or whatever. And it dawns on me, I'm worried about what they think of me. They're not thinking about me at all. They have zero interest in what I look like, in what I'm thinking or doing. They are really worried about themselves. That's what I was hearing. And I was like, wow, I'm free. I'm free. I don't have to worry. It's not me. It's not about me. And this freed me so much. I was like walking on air the whole rest of high school.
And it probably was like part of what helped clear the acne in the process too.
That came later. With some deep realizations around ancient diet. But yeah, talk about pain, right? Talk about core wounds around people looking at me. I would do extreme things to get out of that wounding. Like, I did a lot of acting, and I acted in Seattle. I did lots of live music on stages in front of hundreds of people. So I did a lot of being seen. And in order to kind of shift all my fear about taking it personally and it being a personal experience, another thing that I can see very well is when something occurs within me, how it moves outside of myself as waves, and it will affect the people around me instantly without them ever having any real knowledge that even occurred. And I watch it with my family. I'm very lucky because I've got this little family unit who is my mirror. And so I do, like last night, I did this inner work, and I disturbed my husband because I don't cry like that very often, and I was a blubbery mess. But gosh, it felt good, and I just let myself be that. And I asked him to just be there with me, let me be sad, and he said, I'm really sorry you had a crappy childhood. And I said, that's not even it. That's not even it. It's just the pain. It's the pain. And part of it came, Lori, because I've merged with this deep part of my child self. I merged with her, and it clicked something in me to release really deep survival stuff out of my root and my gut. And that's what it was, really, is this deep survival wounding that I had not acknowledged. So in that moment, I'm not blaming it on my parents. I'm not blaming it on anybody else. I'm not taking my pain personally. I'm letting it be what it is. And the gift on the other side was the universe has my back. I am alive. I am not hungry. And then I could be back in the now. Now, let's say somebody triggers me. You know, you asked me if I ever, or somebody asked me if I ever get hate mail. Sure I do. Sure I do. Not a lot, but occasionally I'll get this like really angry letter. One of the worst ones was when I did an interview with Richard Rudd, and I got this hate letter that was basically someone taking it very personally, that I was having a candid conversation with one of their favorite people on the whole planet. They were mad that this random chick, got to talk to Richard Rudd. Trust me, I was surprised too. But you know, she had put this person on a pedestal and was jealous and angry. So I read the email, and these kinds of things, you know, we don't necessarily respond to, but we can use it in the moment to practice. So I read the email and I could feel the anger and the jealousy and the pain. And she wanted me to take it personally. So I took that and I examined it and I welcomed it. And I said, you know, if I was to answer her, I would say, you are so special. You are so wonderful. I bet you Richard Rudd would have loved to talk to you too. And that would have probably made her even more mad. But
No, that would have disarmed her.
It would have disarmed her, right? But instead of taking it personally,
maybe not in the first instant, but if you went another few moments, like it would certainly have disarmed her.
Yeah, and
what she needed.
Right. So that was the energy I put back out into the virtual world. But I also wanted to look and see, am I capable of making this impersonal? And then recognizing, well, there is no such thing as personal anyway, because the quantum field, the source field is binding us all. I am her and she is me. I'm talking to myself from a source.
That's why I say I take everything personal, because
everything
I am she, and she is me, and all ultimately is one. The thing is that, I mean, I love that story you just said. It's like so good. That's so good what you just said, because if I've had that, I've been met with that kind of energy that you just described from a few people, like you being one of them in our personal relationships, experiences, when somebody is able to meet you without any resistance and actually give you what you need. So I have a friend who's a healer. His name is Scott, and there's been a couple times where I tried to communicate something to him and I didn't feel like he was getting it. And then something in his brain, in his consciousness, his guidance clicked and said, she needs XYZ. And he would just give it to me. Like, you know, it was some form of love, whatever it was. And suddenly that just completely disarms the person, because that's what they need.
Yeah.
And so you didn't go, in your demonstration, you didn't go into any form of defense. You didn't go into any form of defense. You didn't even go into offense. You went into love.
Yeah. And
then you gave it. And that's brilliant. That is like, that's your strength. You're just so good at that. I have not always been able to do that, because I find that, that's my learning area of life is relationship dynamic. So if somebody, but I will say myself that staying on the topic area of the personal stuff is just taking it personal, is that for me, it's about learning relationships in this lifetime. That's where I was going. Yeah. So I do take it personally, because I see everything as a reflection. I realize it's not all now. I'm learning that there is a different, unique, individuated soul, and that I must, in this lifetime, address. This is just my journey. This is me as a human being. I must address other individuals as separations, because I came in so much oneness, knowing, like, I just think I've spent so many like lifetimes as monk, you know, healer, teacher, whatever, you know, shaman, spiritual guide, whatever, so many lifetimes like that, that I already had learned that lesson of oneness. So I was already operating in so much oneness that in this lifetime I had to interact from duality, which is the opposite of what the mass of humans are learning. So for me, everything was already personal because I'm in oneness.
Yeah.
Showing up, like, as a mystic, nothing is an accident. As a mystic, that rat that just walked across the street in front of my car is a message to me.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
That cloud that's in the sky is a message to me. This path of rocks with a heart was a message to me. You know, the universe is always there for me. Everything and everyone is there. It's all about me. But in a sense, as a mystic, that is my truth, has been my truth. But in this lifetime, I'm learning, no, there's another person. So now I'm learning how not to take things personally, because there is a separate being with an individuated soul.
Yeah.
And an individuated experience. And therefore, I cannot take this personally because their journey's unique to them.
Yeah.
That's a totally different lesson for the vast majority of humans are not learning. They already have that down.
Right.
They got that. And they're learning the oneness. It's fascinating to me, but that's been going on for most of my life. So the personal thing is a very big, big issue. And it's an issue.
Because it can be, because it's both, you know. Someone wrote in and asked, you know, that they read something like on Facebook, like, there are no angels and demons and all these things. It's all one, which is true. Yet it's also not true. These things can happen at the same time. There is oneness and there is all source. Everything, even the things that seem like they're not love, are still made of love. But then the individuation is real. So while we're in these bodies, let's enjoy and celebrate the facets of uniqueness in each person's individuated experience. Even though it's an illusion, we're here to learn from that. That's so important. You know, so I interact with a lot of different beings, angels, demons, you name it, hundreds of different types. They're all very special beings.
The person who wrote in, because you sent me that question, Elizabeth, said, I've heard you say nothing is personal, and I get that. And also you said that source feels sad when we do. And then I've also heard you say that angels and demons do not have feelings.
Correct.
So I'm just going to ask you, because I mean, I know my perspective on this, and I think we share the same perspective, but just to address it, why does source feel sad when we do?
Yeah, I think source feels sad when we do because source is learning through us. You know, this whole universe is all about relationship. That's
I would say source is experiencing through us.
Yeah, exactly. It's a giant.
So if we feel sad, source is experiencing that.
Yeah. And that's what's so cool about it. It's so cool when you can notice that, oh, source is experiencing being Lori and me at the same time, having a conversation. How cool is that?
That's why when I go through airports and TSA, I get really conscious, and I'm like, consciousness, source, really? Is this what we want?
You're right.
I get really neutral, like, take a look, be fully present in consciousness. Bring your consciousness here now. Like, be fully conscious. Look at what people are going through. Look at how they're having to strip, give their bodies away, give their possessions away, take their clothes. Like, I'm exaggerating for the purpose, but literally when you go through TSA, it is a reenactment of Hitler times.
Yeah, no kidding.
You know, I can go through your possessions. You have to go get, you know, pass through. I can take anything from you. I can pat you down, and you have to, you know, stand in this erect
Yeah,
position.
you put your
spread.
hands like this, and like it's
Whatever we do to try to make peace with it, it's good that we're making peace with it. We don't want to fight or resist it or judge it, but we want to be conscious. What's really going on here? We're working through unresolved issues from that timeline.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's good. We're working through it in a kind of an acceptable way for humanity, because we don't want to recreate what happened during those times of Hitler. But nonetheless, I get source consciousness. Source, really? Do we really still need this? Really?
Yeah. We put that message out there, like, source, I think it's time to learn this fully and be done.
I think it's time to be done with this.
Yeah.
Let's be done.
And so we put that,
and then why
radiates from us.
And then why do you say you've heard angels and demons do not have feelings?
Well, the emotional body is what I'm talking about, and it's very unique. Not many beings have an emotional body. And the angelic and demonic being the same type of beings, you know, these are beings that have very particular agendas, and they come in knowing all that they know. They're not born, they're ignited. It's like a candle. You can light another candle with another candle. That's how that realm works. But they are just part of source too, and they're learning relationship too. And so are we through them. And so by welcoming these beings with complete and total universal compassion, we're showing the rest of the galaxy what an emotional body is used for. Being human is very special. And
they're different frequencies, those beings. But
yeah, they
are different frequencies, but they don't have an emotional body. That's
yeah,
good.
Exactly.
So, but the frequencies of an angel is a love, peace.
Yeah.
Frequency of demonic is a fear-based frequency.
Yeah, and it sucks in. It's like black hole versus a star.
Right.
It's really not much different.
And what that person who wrote in also said was, there's no such thing as devils, demons, or hell, which is not accurate. I mean, these beings do exist, and they exist in a fourth dimensional realm. And he person said, creators of the purest form of love, why would you create something evil? And then she said something like, why would I punish anyone created, since everything? So right there, he is asking the question, why would I punish anyone I created, since everything in creation is made of and is me? And the underlying implication that I'm reading and hearing and understanding through this person's question is that she believes in a punishing God.
Right.
Even though she's saying God is love and God would never create something like that. And why would I punish beings that I've created with something like that?
Yeah, and furthermore, that anything like that has to do with punishment. You know, the existence of
even the idea that we're being punished because Creator created all that is, with no judgment and pure acceptance. All that is. This is the realm where all that is can be.
Yeah. So the good question,
the idea that Creator is punishing us because these bad, so-called bad things like demons exist is a false belief system in that person that needs to be cleared and resolved, in my opinion, because it keeps you in separation from source. Because if you believe, and if I were to call her, I can hear it right now. Well, I don't believe that. I don't believe God's punishing. But it's written there. It's come out in the statement on an unconscious level. She does. God wouldn't do that because God wouldn't punish us. So in a way, she doesn't believe it, but then in a way, she's saying that would be punishment. She's split in there. And I'll just say for this person, by the way, the last name has a double vowel in there, side by side. So when we have a double vowel, it means there's emotional instability in the body.
And what advice would you give to somebody with that going on? Well, one of the things I would advise would be notice polarities.
Yes.
Punishment versus reward. You know, and these are playing fields, right? The playing field of good and evil is not the only field of consciousness. the playing field of dark and light is not the only playing field of consciousness. And while it might seem like punishment and reward exist, that's a human structure that we put on things to try to make sense of them, because we ourselves have been told that we're being punished or rewarded.
Yes.
And so when we free ourselves from that polarity, what are you going to find? Well, the fact is that Source makes lots and lots of dense things for us to interact with in order to advance continued knowledge about what is love and what is not love. And when you go real deep to what is not love, you'll find love. And so that's the job. That's the job, to interact with, say, for example, a demonic entity, which I have interactions with quite a lot, and to actually draw the light out and say, you're made of light. You're made of light. You might have forgot that, but I haven't. You're made of source just like me. That's disarming. It's the same energy. I come to that email that I mentioned earlier, the hate mail. It's the same energy. It's like, I know how to disarm you because I'm going to completely move past any kind of resistance or attack or defense, because I used to play that game. I played that game already. I'm done with that playing field. So I draw out the light.
Because you have developed the virtue.
The virtue, right.
That is a perfect example. You developed the virtue. I just want to say, in that person's email, there was also some reference to religion, and we understand that going through this ascension journey and the spiritual awakening process, that what's happening for us, part of our clearing, is that we're disentangling from lifetimes of religious indoctrination, which has, by its very nature, put us in space of separation. All religion indoctrination is indoctrinating you to the teachings. And so, therefore, it's the teachings, the methodology, the process that you must adhere to in religious indoctrination. And that gets into that's cellular memory. That's actually, it's really is spiritual abuse, but most people don't realize it. So it's not to say that a Jesus or a Buddha isn't a beautiful ascended master, and that those beings are real. It's more to say that the origins of humanity's learning through religion and religious indoctrination has included massive amounts of separation and indoctrination. So even if somebody's talking about, I know that we don't have any punishment, and what religion taught us about punishment is not true. That's good, but that's coming from here.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is we have to clean that out of our bodies. In fact, there's something in the DNA that I clear out whenever I do DNA activations, and the next one's on the 1111 portal. We call them speed activation calls. There's something in the DNA that's called crucifixion implants. And every person who has ever in any lifetime been in organized religion, to the best of my knowledge, as far as I know, every human has, you got a crucifixion implant in there unless you've had it cleared. And a crucifixion implant, it's so loaded with so much crap. It's all kinds of religious indoctrination, but it's designed, the crucifixion implant is, just think of the symbol of it is the cross. I'm sorry, I know I'm about to push some buttons. The symbol of it is the cross. And this implant is designed to bind you at your hands, to keep you separated from your ability to create, to bind you at your feet, to keep you separated from Mother Earth, the ultimate healer, and to bind you at your crown, to keep you separated from your higher consciousness and your higher knowing. It is a separation implant. And in that implant, which is in the DNA, unfortunately, first 2 strands is corrupted, can be cleared out. People don't even know it exists.
Mm-hmm.
But when it's cleared out, it's also, part of it is blocks. Which way do you go? Do you go this way? Do you go that way? Do you go that way? Confusion, misery, forms of misery and suffering. Also, all kinds of
abandonment too, right? Abandonment by
oh,
God.
I mean, this is rigged with all kinds of crap. It's one of the most harmful and detrimental things that exists in the first two strands of the human genome, and it is corrupted implant.
Yeah.
Indeed. And it's happened through lifetimes of spiritual abuse,
Yeah.
religious indoctrinations. And of course,
Yeah.
people don't know it's there.
Right. Wow, that's really powerful. Our friend who wrote the letter mentioned that she was actually quoting someone in the letter. So she wanted to clarify, and I think that's important we can acknowledge her. I'd like to read a couple of things. Nancy's saying, if angels vibrate at love, then they have feelings. That's not true. We're talking about two different things here. Because every being has frequency. Everything has frequency, Nancy. But an emotional body is very specific, and it's married to our physical bodies. The angelic don't have physical bodies. They have an other dimensional body, and they don't have an emotional body married to the physical body like we do. It's different. So feelings and emotions are different. That's our way of receiving frequency information. They have a different way, and
sorry, I should go down because you're doing a great job. Sorry, keep going.
It's really, it can be very confusing because angels can say I love you, angels can be love, but the fact is that because they're very different other dimensional species altogether. And so, Nancy, I actually would like to suggest that you might like to speak to your angels about this. Talk to them yourself and see what they say to you about feelings, emotions, and frequency and the differences between them.
Because we humans often interact with our feelings, and we believe that our feelings are our emotions, and they're not the same thing.
They're not.
We can feel our emotions. We can feel our emotions. And so in that sense, our feelings are our emotions in that sense.
Yeah.
But angels and angel gods and benevolent beings in the non-physical realm do not have, it's exactly like you said, they don't have an emotional body. So they're not feeling their feelings. What they're feeling is the frequencies of energetic vibration.
Right.
And those frequencies are love-based.
Yeah, exactly.
And they can feel that, but it's not an emotion for them.
It's tricky. This is tricky. Also, we need to be careful because humans do something really specific called anthropomorphization. Fancy word in anthropology. Anthropomorphization. We anthropomorphize. We make human things that are not human.
Right.
We're like, wow, look at that tree. It has a face. Or, wow, I see Jesus in this toast. Or, wow, angels they can interact with me. They must be like me. That's totally normal. We naturally do this. We find ways to find humanness in everything, including God. But that's something that once you notice it, I'm making human things that aren't human. Naturally, because you're trying to relate. That's okay. Just notice it. It's a cultural habit that human beings naturally do. I wanted to mention what Mariah wrote early on. She said, in my dreams last night, I remembered some past experiences where I was exposed to male abuse to the feminine, as well as being abusive to his own son. As I reflected on this, I observed that it was a program that I was in at the time, and I no longer felt guilt and shame. Just acknowledged that it did exist at one time, yet not anymore, loving this upgrade in my awakening process, and now the ego in it is very minimal. That's beautiful, the noticing of it, and then even better, acceptance, and then even better, celebration. We forget to celebrate, Lori. All the little baby steps that seem like tiny little bitty things or tiny little shifts, there's nothing tiny on the quantum level. Nothing tiny about that. Celebrate. I like to celebrate by meditating. I like to celebrate by doing ritual. I like to celebrate by eating good food and being with my loved ones, but being very conscious about Every tiny step we make is huge, it's massive, and it's important. So we value then the personal experience, we connect it to the galactic, the universal experience, and then we celebrate the virtue that has come out of the process work that we do. Don't forget to celebrate all of what you're learning every day. It's so important. And we're not taught that very early on. We're not taught to, you get a gold star or whatever, and like, or you get an A, none of that has as much meaning as you personally celebrating inside yourself. That's some serious self-care right there.
I will say one thing. I wanted to say actually two things. One about the celebrating is that this is a really good time. We've now just entered the final 2 months of this linear calendar year. And it's such a good time to really like write yourself like a love letter and
Yeah.
a list of things that really happened for you, like that you created, that you accomplished, that you achieved in this year, and just a year in review kind of love letter to yourself of acknowledgement, of gratitude. I have taught a self-love class that is a self-love for ascension, and that's one of the things. We write a letter to ourselves at the end of any period of time where we've really accomplished. I remember when I went through my divorce many years ago, and I just felt so unloved. I just intuitively wrote myself a love letter about
Yeah.
all the things I love about myself, and I just needed that. So this is a good time to do that, to really look at that, what you've. And sometimes I was doing it this year, and I was realizing, like, wow, this year my greatest accomplishments were really in the area of relationships. It was really about learning, like, what is a quality relationship? What does it mean to me to have a quality relationship and quality partnerships, and understanding the contribution that I bring to my relationships that has value and worth. I'm talking about friendships. And I mean, that was just so big for me because my whole life has just been about like service to source, service to source, service to source. And I wasn't really functioning as much on a personal level. Like, it's my personal life. I mean, my personal life was self-love, self-care, but it wasn't about like my relationships with other people.
Right.
So, I
This
mean,
is
that was a big thing for me to really be able to look at that. So I would advise that to anybody. Just, that's part of how we integrate our learning and our own evolution, to really evaluate and to receive those gifts of those experiences, that we had to process through and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and talking to the body too. I find that talking to my brain, my heart, my gut, my organs, my skin, all my cells, talking to them, talking to the bacteria in my body, that's a relationship too. And for me, being in my body is very challenging. It's been very hard. So that's one of my core wounds, right? Is being in my body, having illness that I face that makes me not want to be in the body, other things. And finding that merging with these parts of myself feels really good. Loving parts of myself feels good. That's new for me too. It's really fresh and new to love being in my body.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's so good that you just said that. I'm so happy for you.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's so nice that you could, love being in your body. I just think, we don't, if we realize as a human civilization, we typically have our core wounds in any of 4 areas. One is our physical health, our bodies. The other is our financial money and material resource. The other is our relationships with others, and the other is our relationship with the divine, which is still part of relationships, but it's its own unique, because people are so wounded. That's why you have like atheists, and that's why you have people who make science their religion, because really the core of humanity has been so deeply wounded in the spiritual area. Even organized religion, especially in my opinion, have been completely hijacked. Like the idea, I'm going to go out on a limb here, of circumcision.
Oh, I know. Oh, ooh, eek. I right.
Yeah,
Worst thing that we
it's
possibly do to men.
It's one of the worst kinds of abuse practiced on the most innocent child to create trauma in the body, in the being, at the earliest imprinting. That is the purpose behind circumcision. And
we know it changes the
brain. They're brainwashed, they're misled, they're lied to, and they don't know. And this is trauma on the man. You understand? Our men on planet Earth, the patriarchy, the masculine, has been deeply wounded just as much as the feminine.
Yes. Yes. And
there's something else in the DNA too. I mean, this is the stuff we clear out on those speed activation calls.
Yes.
We activate the good stuff. But there's something else talking about the masculine wounded and the feminine wounded is a Lilith program. So Lilith in astrology, the storyline of Lilith is that she's the original female that was cast out of the Garden of Eden. That's the mythology behind it, because Adam wanted his inferior, not his equal. Right. And so they take a rib from Adam's body, but really, the real truth of that is you are the atom of my atom. Your twin flame is of your atoms.
Right. Your
atom, your atomic body. Right. But okay, that's all. We can not go down that storyline for now because I'm breezing through it too fast. But the Lilith is a black magic ritual that's now embedded in the DNA to ostracize the divine feminine.
Right.
The patriarchy, the male. What is, and this is not even a political statement, please understand. What is, from a mystical point of view, what is Donald Trump in the United States? Male, arrogant, white supremacy. And this is us showing an original wound on humanity, that we believe a leader is a male, arrogant, white supremacist who has basically cast out Lilith, the divine feminine. I mean, like him or don't like him is not the point. I'm just saying how the universe is showing us our own wound, even.
Yeah, exactly.
So this Lilith programming, I'm working now on clearing it out of the DNA.
Yeah.
Because it's part of the alienation of the feminine and masculine. And it's connected to all of our religions.
Yeah. I would add that Lilith program too, also is the separation of humankind from Gaia. And and that kind of leads us into talking about animals and how we can help them, how they help us. And you know more about that than I do. For sure. I'm with that realm. So I'd love to know, what can we do to help our animals and how are they helping us?
I want to give this question. I want to address the question that came from my love April. I love you so much, April. She was asking about her little dog, Zoe. I hope I pronounced that right. Who has some skin issues and redness only, no open abrasions.
Inflammation?
Exacerbated, appears to be staying as if it was there this summer. She's affected by the energy, still always present when she does her spiritual community calls and her spiritual work. So I'm just reading the question, so pardon me while I read it. But she's really asking me, how do we assist our animals? So, because she knows, of course, April knows they're very sentient and they're our fur babies as much as they are sentient beings. So first, I know you know this, April, but let's say it again. They are the ultimate empaths, and their mission when they live with a human is to help their human. So if the animal is experiencing something, we always know, we can always link it to what's going on in us and in our lives. Even if it's a rescue animal and they came with it, it's still a vibrational match. Even if they just came into your life with a condition, and that condition was before you, it's a vibrational match. And they came to you with a spiritual contract or agenda to help you work through the same kind of issue that you're not conscious of in your life. That is a fundamental energetic truth behind the spiritual mission. When I use the word truth, I have to ask myself, because it's not a universal law, but it is an energetic truth vibrational match is spiritual law, but it is the divine mission of animals to help humans. in that way to become more conscious and to heal and resolve our issues. So I know you know this, April. So number one, whenever our animal has something like this going on, we always want to look. I mean, this is why I say I take everything personally, because what is going on in my life that is a reflection of this?
Yeah.
Because the animal can, this is one thing I have learned directly from animals, communicating with hundreds and thousands and thousands of animals, is that they almost always say, when they're working with a human illness type of condition or dis-ease in the physical body, when their human gets it, that's when they get to start to heal. She got it. Now I can start to get better.
Yeah.
That's what they do. So what is my animal? And I mean, it's not always, because the animal, they have a soul that has gone through lifetimes too. So they are also working through this. So through your healing, they're healing, right? They're healing too. It's not just yours, it's theirs too. So you share a unique frequency. Okay, but nonetheless, so you want to look at where is that going on in your life. Now, I just know as a healer, skin issues, that's our boundary with the external world. That's our interface with the external world. So if there's irritation here on the skin, even on the face, when you were referring to your situation earlier, Elizabeth, that means we're uncomfortable somehow or irritated somehow in some way with our external reality. So from a healer's journey and a healer's point of view, for me, I know what I would do is to go into that space of as much neutrality as I could get into, which is what I do in meditation. For me, I can do it like 1, 2, 3. And I ask Divine Source, please give to me whatever gifts are yours to give to me that are mine to receive, so that I may become aligned with you on this in consciousness, and so that I no longer need to carry this so-called burden or weight or challenge or dis-ease of being somehow uncomfortable or in discomfort with my external reality. What gifts may I receive today? And what gifts will you provide to me, Divine Source? And please as well give them exactly to my animal companion, exactly as is for my animal companions, unique, individual, highest and best. Now that right there, what I just said, replay it, substitute any words, whether it's skin or whatever else, but use the frame of what I said. That is worth the price of admission times gazillion. And you just had a free call. It is so powerful. And if you do that, and yes, okay, don't expect it to be a pill. And I know April knows this. April knows it's not a pill. So it's not like it happens in 2 seconds. You might have to do it a month. You might have to do it morning, noon, and night for a few times. I said 5 minutes. It works. Yeah. That is spiritual healing, and it's very effective. And even if it slightly exacerbates it for a moment, you ask, okay, well, what happened here, Source? Is the exacerbation a removal of it? What's going on here? Divine Source, help me understand how is this healing? Is this healing us? What's going on here? You don't give up just because you think, well, looks like it didn't work. You realize it's working. Right. Something's going on.
Something's changing.
That's helpful.
Yeah, and I like to tell people too, Lori, to ask your heart, ask your gut, because those two brains are very, very conscious. And we don't necessarily only have to depend on brain mind. You can feel and know the truth in your heart and gut. Yes. Discerning what's going on. And I just love that you are asking Source. We get to have a relationship with Source. We can talk to Source. We can ask every single moment for what we need. And by asking without feeling shame, without feeling guilt for wanting to know or wanting access, just ask, because it's there. It's there. They're the treasures for you. And so, Lori, let's kind of wrap up here, but I wanted to make sure people know where to reach you to do these special clearings, because I think that's really powerful work you do. with these different programs, where can they find out more and sign up?
Yeah, well, that I do. The way they find out is at my website at lorispagna.com, and it's under live events, and I call them speed activations. It's just because when I started off doing them, they were just going to be straight. Source going to say, light this up, do this, do that.
Yeah.
And then now they've gotten much longer. But this one, especially on the Lionsgate, when we do them on Lionsgate portal, like sometimes like 3 hours, but it's just really long. But usually they're not that long. But they're basically activations and clearings of the DNA. So we're activating codes and codons in the DNA, and we're clearing corrupted patterns in the DNA. And we're also activating templates and operating systems, because there's whole new ways of operating in 5D. So I translate it all on the call before we do it. Then we go into a meditation and we do it.
Awesome.
And yeah, the next one is on 11/11. And again, it's at my website at lorispagna.com. And it's under live events tab, and it's called speed activation calls, and it's DNA activations basically.
Yeah.
And I'll just say one other thing about this. It's so powerful, because this is what I love about it so much, is that if I have enough people on the call who represent enough of the family oversouls, so, and then the laws of the universe, I do channeling on the call too, because almost always some these beings come and they're joining us, angels, angel gods, animal communion, family. Like the cows that came in the last one I did, and the cows are talking about, okay, we have evolved enough now. We don't want to be angry that you're taking our children and our babies anymore. We realize that we have to evolve to get you to stop taking our children and our babies from us, like, calves for,
Yeah.
It's horrible, right?
Yeah.
So what they're saying is, now what we want is to give you everything we know about loving and caring and nurturing for your inner child. Because we know that if you learn how to love and care for your children, they see themselves as the best mothers on the planet. I mean, not Mother Earth, they recognize, but I mean, of the living physical animals.
Really are great mothers.
Cows perceive themselves to be the best mothers, and they're like, that's why we produce the milk for you. So they want to download into our consciousness the gifts of loving your inner child. That's amazing that this came through.
I love that.
Anyway, okay, so that channeling comes in on those calls, and I could go on. But if I have all the oversouls, right? What happens is the universal laws come in, because I work with the laws.
Yeah.
And the laws will say, here's what you can do, here's what you can't do, here's what's allowed, and here's what's not allowed. Now, if we have enough representatives from all the major oversouls, we are able to affect in a very real way and a very relatively quick way the whole of humanity, because we can do clearing through all the bloodlines and all the ancestors. That's why I keep these calls so cheap. They're so cheap. They're only $38 for this kind of a call, when really they're worth hundreds of dollars, in my opinion. I can make a whole living just doing that if I charge more money, but they are my service, and I'm just charging just enough to demonstrate the value and worth of them,
right,
and to cover my expenses and that kind of thing. Anyway,
I'm glad. That's so powerful. I love that work that you do so much. And I'll plug a little bit of what I'm doing right now. I pulled out, Lori, from my closet after 10 years, my cultural mapping work. In academia, I was known as a futurist and a theorist in anthropology, and was able to bring forth a very good functioning mapping method to organize data, but it turned into also a functioning predictive model. And of course, any prediction model, anyone who does prediction models know you can't predict the future, but you can get real good at determining what needs to be tweaked to get the outcomes you want. So my professional training is all around change. How does change work, and how can you implement real change? So I'm teaching this mapping technique on Sunday, on the 3rd of November, and it's accessible, of course, beyond that. I always have replays. $47. I'm teaching everyone. This is the second part of my galactic and quantum anthropology work. So we did an introduction to galactic and quantum anthropology. That's up on the website too, seerandscientist.com, SEER and scientist.com. And so this new class is this cultural mapping class. I'm going to teach everybody this technique. And Lori, originally, when I finished my master's, my teachers told me that it was dangerous. And it's true, it's very dangerous stuff. So let's get dangerous. We're going to actually be able to implement change in your personal life, your business, your relationships, any aspect of your reality, your community, your government. If you have this method in hand, and it's actually a very simple method, the theory behind it is what's complicated. But by using this method, you can start to really begin to understand how change works in your life and have real empowerment. I'm teaching everybody to fish here. I want them to be able to implement change for themselves. I live by this methodology. Literally, I'm constantly using it in my mind all the time. And it's helped me to keep my life really clear about what I'm able to do in the moment where all the power is and stay in the moment all the time. So I'm really proud to teach it this Sunday. And then that one is going to be part of a series. So the first one's available. This is the second part. And we're going to do a bit more. We're going in eventually to do quantum archaeology, which is a thing, and stuff like that. So that's my kind of work. Lori and I, we do very interesting, amazing stuff for you. We're here for you. We want to help you out. We're here to be in service to this planet right now as we're navigating consciousness in new waters, brand new waters. Really special time for teachers to come together and share like this. Lori, thank you. I think it helps our work evolve more when teachers can share in this way candidly and speak to the public just openly and lovingly and just answer questions. And again, you may not have agreed with everything we've said, and that's okay. I think it's important for us to have dialogue and open dialogue and be able to share what we really think, be able to, without any kind of shame or guilt or criticism. And so being open to each facet that's available, that's something that we've been able to show people how to do that today with great trust and grace. Very good. I'm so proud for all of that. Thank you, Lori.
I want to say your class sounds so fun. I want to take it.
Oh yeah.
And I'm a voracious learner. Like I love learning
Me
things
too.
anyway. But I've had to get a lot more discerning because like I've gotten some stuff over the years where I've been like, why did I do this? I could do it better, you know. But I wouldn't think that about you because I know who you are and how awesome you are. And I think that sounds
Thank
like
you. You're
really
very
good.
sweet.
I think I want to take that. But can I say one other thing? Because in February, I'm going to be at the Conscious Life Expo.
Yeah.
And I just want to say if anybody's in Los Angeles and wants to come to the Conscious Life Expo, I'll also be doing live. A lot of people really like to do the DNA activations live. And that is the next place I will be doing it physically live in Los Angeles at the Conscious Life Expo. We'll be doing a 3-hour event with it, with channeling and everything. So if you want to come and be physically
that's
present.
great stuff. And every single one of you, Elaine asked if she was grounding energies for light on earth. Every single one of you are. Every single one of you are a conduit for light. Every single one of you is a spiritual scientist. Every single one of you are on the cutting edge. All of us are together. We're here at the edge together. We're pushing the gamut together. We're pushing the envelope together. And being able to learn from each other, being able to share what we know, being able to reach out and be willing to be healed, get connected to healers, get connected to asking source in your body for what you need. Every day, celebrate the baby steps because they're not baby at the quantum level, they're massive. Celebrate every day as you're moving through the triggers that get to come to the surface. Take advantage of the gifts that Lori has to be able to help you shift deep DNA programming that's real. It's very real. She's naming some of the most major programs, and there's so many that humanity has had to deal with, and we are the ones we are the ones healing the lineage. They didn't go anywhere. They still need us. We're the ones. We're the awakened ones. I like it. Somebody said this. We're the ones we've been waiting for. I love that.
And I mean, everybody on this call, there's no question, like, I'm sure you're aware too, just like when we said, that we both said that when, right before the recording started, how we could feel the group just got on the call, like, whoa, we could feel it. I mean, we have in our group right now, everyone has up-leveled their frequency. There's been energy that has been cleared and resolved just through our union and our connection. There has been consciousness, which has been expanded just through our union and our connection. There has been alleviation of certain amounts of density that has been resolved and elevated and transformed just through this connection. And that is real. That is real and powerful. And yes, like you were saying, Elizabeth, it's on the quantum field. It's so powerful. And this is why humanity is changing. Ascension is real. It is happening for everyone, whether they know it or not. So I just say these kind of calls are really important because it's not just like, like a teaching class. It's an integrating, energetic, everyone's holding the light. Every one of us are the frequencies of Mother Earth's, like Mother Earth is just recognizing. I want to say this, one of my channelings, once Mother Earth came in as a channeled message direct, and she said, I know every individual footprint. Mm-hmm. I know every individual being who walks on me. I know who everyone is. Wow. Fascinating. Like, she knows us all.
Wow.
And so, I know. I mean, it's not like, okay, I'm aware there's people in Utah, but I don't know them.
Right. Wow.
But she says, I know. And she basically, the dialogue was, I can distinguish your every individual frequency and vibration and consciousness as a unique individual. Like, that's incredible, right? So
we're never alone.
Message. What's that?
We're never alone.
Yeah, but so the point of that was what I wanted to say was that when we're on a call like this and we're elevating consciousness as a group, dynamic, our frequency is elevating. And then when we're walking on Mother Earth, of course, that's supporting the whole of humanity in elevating frequency, right? We're light holders, we're light bearers, we're frequency holders. So that's why the whole idea of raising your vibration is not just an egoic desire. It does make life better when you raise your vibration. It's true, because you elevate into the frequencies of love and peace and joy rather than being in the densities of fear and hate and worry and anxiety and trauma and drama and all that crap. But also, just by elevating your frequency, you're uplifting the frequency of humanity just by being a light holder. It's that simple. So everybody on this call is that. And that's part of why we do these calls. We love them, we enjoy them, and they serve the greater good.
Yeah. And we're also giving an example today, and this is just the subtle part. Lori and I are showing people what it looks like to do mergers. To be in merger with someone creates a brand new energy. I'm me, I've got my energy. Lori's she got her energy. When we come together in oneness through these conversations with all of you, we've created something fresh and brand new that elevates everyone on the call and everyone who will ever watch this. Mm-hmm. And so that's
can I dovetail on that too? I love what you just said, that about the merging. The days of being a fearful, empathic, sensitive, fearful of other people's energies are over. Over. We're not meant, that is a very early stage. I mean, I carried that for a lot of years, and I hear it all the time from people who are empaths, like, help, I'm an empath, I'm feeling everybody else's stuff. Those days are so over. It's not about being afraid to feel someone else's stuff anymore. And the transformation of that fear of picking up other people's stuff. First of all, that's kind of in its own way a spiritual invasion of someone else's space. You're not supposed to do that anyhow. Not really. It's not like it's against spiritual law, but it's just, it's out of alignment with the highest integrity to go around feeling other people's stuff. But the idea of merging with it in oneness and recognizing that whatever you're feeling, you are healing, that's true, but also that this merging of and union completely takes you out of the fear of taking on something that's not yours, or feeling something that's not yours, or being in so much resistance and discomfort to whatever you're feeling and experiencing. So that merging is the solution, in a sense, to the ultimate empath, sensitive, light worker. Help! I'm a sensitive, but I don't want to feel someone else's stuff. It's so that in its own is like just such a. I went through that for years. I'm telling you, it's so not. Like, it's just like not a fun way to be.
No, it's
all the time for people.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
It does. It really. It sucks to have to live that way. It's the solution.
Relieve all of you. Relieve yourself of the responsibility of having to feel everything. Instead of trying to identify it, let it move through. Merge with it so that it has no more power. Let it dissolve. Let it go through. That's the job. You don't have to identify everything that comes through. That's not the job.
Right. And to stop perceiving it even as someone else's external to you.
Right. Because
that's why that's another spin on that whole taking things personally, you know?
Yeah.
Because really, that's really when you can just be like, oh, okay. Like sometimes I get on the calls with some of my clients and stuff, and you know, I can feel, I mean, I'm always feeling all the stuff that's going on, but I'm not like, oh God, I feel it, just allowing it all.
Yeah, just allowing it to move through. Like, there you are, go ahead. Use my field how you need to. I love it. This is good stuff.
Right. Elizabeth, I just want to say out loud again, I know I've said it lots of times, I love you so much.
I love you too.
I'm so grateful for our friendship.
Me too. Thank you.
I'm grateful for everyone who's joined us today.
Yeah, thank you, everyone. A lot of people came. We had over 55 people at one point. Thank you so much. And more
nice comments
on YouTube. Yeah.
Yes.
I'll make sure and send you all those comments, Lori.
Oh, I love that. Also, I'll put this video on my YouTube channel too. So I got tons of YouTube videos.
Yeah, everybody sign up for her YouTube, sign up for mine. You get access to a lot of information there. Yeah, good. Hey, we're so proud of everybody, and I'm so proud of you too, Lori, and thank you for being a dear friend. It's a great privilege.
Thank you. Oh, she's so sweet. Thank you for recognizing and appreciating my friendship. Oh, it is so much to me. I love you.
I love you too. We'll talk soon, everybody. Take care. Namaste.
Namaste. Bye, everyone.